Points. Hello, and welcome to the Broad Points podcast. It is I, your host, the Broad That Points, the Broad with the Points. I am Tyler the Lady. To start off this podcast, I am going to steal the line from an unknown Peloton instructor because I don't know, I haven't done it in a very long time. I did get into Peloton for a while, and some things just don't stick. Allow yourself the flexibility to try new things, to quit new things, and to try other things. But this line really stuck with me, and they had a lot of fantastic coaching lines that can be utilized as mantras. And I just want to remind you that you have made it through 100% of your worst days. And so whatever you're going through right now, however heavy it may feel, no matter how alone you think you are, know that everything in life is temporary. This too shall pass. And know that whatever you're going through, there's someone else out there that has either experienced it or is willing to be there with you while you do. And there are some really heavy things that just happen in the world, right? Heavy things from jobs to families to personal, like whatever may be affecting you in this moment. Just know that this too shall end. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. There are people that love you and that want to support you through whatever you're going through. And if you have somebody in your life that's going through something, recognize the power that we have to listen. And Minda Zetlin actually says, in most conversations, the person who speaks least benefits most, and the person who speaks most benefits least. And so, although in this moment, right, that end part of the speaking part being the least beneficial, it can actually be beneficial to get things off of your chest, to feel heard, to feel acknowledged, and just kind of release the pressure, right? I imagine ourselves as like an Instapot or like a pressure cooker or something. You've got to let some of the stuff go. We can't hold on to everything. We can't keep it all inside. And I'm not saying you have to start a podcast and announce it to the whole world. That's also not for everybody. But allow yourself to trust in your support system. Allow yourself to build from your support system and embrace the compassion and empathy that you're probably giving out to the world, right? Allow it to be returned. And with that, I'll now jump into the fundamental phrase for the day. And that is, we are each a product of our own belief system. And this one is so powerful, you guys. We are each a product of our own belief system. Golly. And for this one too, of course, shameless art plug. I have an art piece for this. I titled it Mirrors. It is of a woman, and she is holding the world above her, because how often does it feel like we are holding the world above us? The gravity of that situation, right? The heaviness of that situation. And after I sculpted this piece, I then lined it entirely with mirrors. So the outside is entirely lined with tiny little mirrors, so it looks like a disco ball. I love a disco ball. I love a disco. And it is my physical representation of our outer world is a reflection of our inner world, right? Our inner world, that whatever internal monologue, sometimes internal turmoil, right, we're experiencing, that is reflected through our outer world. Everything that we are seeing around us, everything that we're noticing around us, it exists within us. And noticing those things, right? There's the childhood phrase of it takes one to know one. It takes one to know one. If that's not the pot calling the kettle black, right? There's so many different phrases here of seeing ourselves in something else. And in last week's episode, I talked about the idea of adding just like me to the end of things, both positive and negative, when you're noticing. And that's a perfect practice for this fundamental phrase, because you really do see those things and what's going on the inside, right? What are these things? Well, there are thoughts. And our thoughts are what cause our feelings. And our feelings cause our actions. And with those three, I don't know about you guys, I was a big Charmed fan. So the power of 3 will set you free in everything I do now. Thoughts, feelings, actions. It's all connected. Everything we do, it comes from within. And although what is within has come from outside in some regards, our belief system is what we choose. And there's a significant power with the idea of being able to be aware of those thoughts, because once you're aware that these things are connected and you see how it's reflecting in your outer world, right? Maybe an example here could be I am being a total jerk to myself. I am being so mean to myself, and as a result, I am seeing every single thing that everybody else is doing, whether it is intentional or not, as an attack on me. It's easy to go to war externally when you are experiencing it internally. And I have been so mean to myself in the past, and I try to emphasize to people, because now everybody's like, Tyler, you were never angry. Tyler, you were never mean. And I'm sorry, I was mean, and I have apologized to the people that I have hurt, and I have apologized to myself. I had to forgive myself in order to be able to move on. But it just starts with recognizing that you're doing it. And you don't have to be a dick about it either. Like, you don't have to be mean to yourself when you recognize it either. You know, it, like in meditation, when you notice it, just say, yeah, that's happening. Just, it's happening. Not, Tyler, stop it. you idiot. I can't believe that you're doing this right now. Why would you do this? You're such a failure. That just takes up so much mental capacity. Like anything going on outside of that, like you're not available to learn anything. And I mean, I don't know about you. I would imagine because you're listening to this podcast, you maybe like to grow a little bit, but I love to grow. I love to learn. And I cannot sit and just do the same thing over and over and over again because it's insanity. To expect different results from the same things, it is insanity. And although you do have to be a little bit crazy in order to survive, thank you, Seal. Shout out to my man Seal, love him so much. You don't need to be completely insane. You can allow yourself, to hear what's happening and get curious with it. Ask some questions, right? Like, what's coming up? Right? What makes that true? What makes it true for you? And sometimes even before that, when you hear what's coming up, check in with whose voice it is. Because I know that at different periods of my life, back in my youth, I would recognize that it would be my father's voice or a bully's voice or my mother's voice and all these different voices telling me what I should believe and what I should do. And oh my gosh, should. I hate shouldn't on people. Should do this, should do that. Should is could with shame on it. And I don't know about you, but I think we get enough shame from every angle of this dimension. We don't need to add more. We don't need to add any more shame. And so recognize whose voice is it? And how might that voice, how might that thought be limiting you? Because if we can recognize if it's actually true, right? Is that a law? Is that a law of gravity? Is that a law of attraction? Is it actually a law of this dimension? Or is it just true for you? And once you recognize if it's limiting you, then you get to make a conscious choice. Oh my goodness, I love a conscious choice. This or that, up or down, right or left. You get to make a choice. Everything in life is a choice. And once we get to recognize that we don't have to be our harshest critics, we can choose to be our biggest fans. Ooh! Self-love, y'all, it's a practice. It's a practice. It's not an overnight thing. I wasn't just woke up one day and was completely void of all negative thoughts of myself. I mean, it would be great if that was how it worked, but it's a practice. Every now and then I'll catch myself looking in the mirror and pointing out a negative thing, and I have to choose to pick one positive thing out. You choose where you focus, and it's all just perspective. One mirror we could be standing in front of could be a regular mirror, and the other mirror could be a high-end luxury store funhouse mirror where you look completely different. You could be seeing yourself through binoculars. You could be seeing yourself through a kaleidoscope. Perspective is different. Vision is different. Allow yourself to remove whatever filters, or maybe not even remove, adjust whatever filters you're seeing your life through, because it is actually all derived from your personal history. And I don't know why it's still even when I think about the idea of sitting with yourself and being with yourself, it can still feel scary. People say that it's scary. But the best person to get to know you and to get to know the truth and to establish how you want to view, well, hey there, partner, it's you. And so, one other thing that I'll say here is it's so much more empowering to quit a belief than it is to quit on yourself, to quit on your dreams, to quit on your goals. It's devastating. It is literally soul crushing. And so, although something may feel really, 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 really hard, and sometimes things can feel really damn hard, know that that's a belief. That's a thought in your head. And you are in control of your mind. Regardless of how it may feel at times, you are in control of your mind. You get to choose what you want to focus on and how much time and energy you want to spend there. And you can change the whole world, but it has to start from within. So don't quit on yourself. Identify the beliefs maybe that aren't serving you, if you feel like it, and try and align them with some values that you have. I mean, I know it's so funny because I think about how mean I was to myself, and one of my biggest values has always been respect. And how hypocritical of me is it to be like, respect is one of my highest values, and then constantly be disrespecting myself. Treat yourself with love, with compassion, with encouragement, because you're gonna get more flies with honey than you are with vinegar. You're gonna have more people on your team if you're sweet. All those voices in your head telling you that you're a mess up, you're a mistake, you're a failure, whatever that voice is, they can be replaced with people coming in and telling you how awesome you are, how great you are, what amazing progress you're making. Because life, it's not about proving. You're not trying to prove anything to anyone. You're just trying to improve. Again, you guys, it's not about perfection. Perfection does not exist. That is not a real thing. And once we decide to, because that's my belief, right? And I used to believe that I was a perfectionist. Everything had to be perfect. Everything could always be better. That was my belief. I do not believe that anymore. I believe that perfection does not exist. You choose what you want to think about perfection. You choose how you want to apply it to your life, and you can do that with any adjective. You can do that with anything in your life that you want to. Make that conscious choice. And I had a friend recently who brought up memory to me. And memory is something that I struggle with, my dad struggles with, a lot of people struggle with memory. Memory, you guys, it's a practice. And if you don't have enough practices from this episode, well, you guys, there's just one more that I'm going to give you. And it's just honestly a simple one. It's something you can do to wind down at the end of the day to practice on your memory, if you so choose the challenge. It's just a practice. It's really not that challenging. It just give yourself the grace. Allow yourself to not know the answers. But try to recall your day from the end of the day to the beginning of the day. And just see how far you get. And I actually do apply this with dance steps. So like I try to do the dance from like backwards to beginning in my head of like, or forward to front or forward to the back. If that's too complicated, from the front to the back, what comes next? What comes next? What comes next? And not, Tyler, you're forgetting this. Tyler, you idiot. No. Hey, Tyler, and then what? And then, and then, and then. Well, and then you can rate, review, like, and subscribe to the Broad Points Podcast. You can find me at Broad Points or at Tyler the Lady. And if you would like to send me an email, well, you can indeed. It is broadpointspodcast@gmail.com. Thank you seriously so much for listening to this podcast, for taking on some practices if you so choose to embark on the endeavor. I'm just happy to be here. I am just happy to share some of these things that I've learned throughout my time on this planet. And I just love to know that there's some positivity out there. So thank you for contributing. Thank you for being a part of it, because you are a part of it. And I love you so much. So one more time with the fundamental phrase for this week. We are each a product of our own belief system.